Hello everyone, in this video I'll be talking about everything you can do in the first 5 minutes of the new expansion Dragonflight to optimize your speed leveling and get ahead of everyone else. This video is focused on the Alliance side, but you can do the exact same on Horde side. The same quests that I'm going to use as pre-turn-ins are mirrored on the Horde side. So let's talk about preparing for the expansion launch. First of all, there are some add-ons that are really useful and that will basically speed up your leveling slightly. First one is Leatrix Plus. You can see here on the icon on the top right. If you click on that, the key thing it allows you to do is automate quests, gossip, sell junk automatically, and repair automatically. It also under system here has a faster autoloot and faster movie skip, but I found two add-ons that are actually a bit faster than this, and those are Cinematic Disabler and Speedy Autoloot. They'll be linked in the description as well, but this is how they're spelled: Speedy Autoloot, Fast Auto Repair, and Cinematic Canceller. The only other add-on that you would really want to use is Weak Auras, and I'll talk about that a little bit in the next video. But like for these XP banners, for example, you can have Weak Auras that kind of show the banners in your group, which is really nice. I would actually advise everyone to kind of disable most other add-ons, mainly just because you don't want anything that could potentially bug out or give you Lua errors or just slow things down slightly when you're on a high pop server, for example. Now that we've talked about add-ons, the key next thing is some like tiny macros that you can kind of use in these first 5 minutes to help you prepare. Now, anyone that has played on a launch has seen how sometimes you have hundreds of people on these top NPCs that you want to click and you can't click them, right? So what I would really advise everyone to do is create these macros, target macros, for the NPCs that you're going to use in Stormwind. So Rathian, if I click on this macro, I target them, Scale Commander, Toddy, and so I have macros for all of these different NPCs that I know I'm going to have to talk to in this first zone. After that, it will be fine. But the key thing is, once you've got them targeted, there's this keybind under key bindings, and then you go to targeting. You can bind interact with target. That allows you to just press this macro, your keybind, and you'll talk to your NPC, which brings up the window, which will then be automated from Leatrix Plus. So that just saves you some time in case there's people on mounts nearby, etc. Like the good thing is they've kind of disabled mounts in these areas, so you won't have like these huge mounts on it. But still, if you have like torrents and everything, like you can kind of see that you can stand in the NPC, but it can still be helpful. So I would advise you to do that. Now, the other thing that I want to talk about is pre-turn-ins. So in past expansions, people usually have like 30 or more quests in their quest log that they can basically turn in the first 10 minutes, get a huge chunk of XP at the start of the expansion, and get going basically. Like sometimes you had like the first two levels that you could almost get with pre-turn-ins. Now, Blizzard has basically nerfed a lot of that in the past two expansions. Though in BFA you could still do some awesome stuff in Legion. So for example, now all the Shadowlands quests, they barely give any XP if you have any of them. Like even like the massive quest that used to give like a lot of XP, like I've abandoned them, but like they barely give anything, so it's not really worth it. Even like the huge end of zone ones that you could do in Threats of Fate, they barely give any XP, even though like at 59 they used to give like 80k or something. However, you can still get a pretty nice chunk of XP without losing any time. And to understand this, the first thing that you need to consider is like how this quest loop is going to play out. Basically, you do the pre-quests and then you stand waiting for the boat as Alliance or for the Zeppelin as Horde. Now, this basically means that you'll have a set chunk of time, pretty much 5 minutes, to get as much as XP as you can in Stormwind or Orgrimmar before taking the boat or Zeppelin. And there are basically these quests that give full XP. Like this one gives 10k, this one gives 10k, etc. That you can do on the route to the boat, basically. And for Horde, it's exactly the same. And when I do this route, I'll also start a timer so that you can see like how little time it takes to turn in those quests. The key quests there are this fishing and cooking daily. So here's a fishing daily. There's a cooking daily. Then there's a one-time quest called Missing Merchandise. Only gives 5k, but it's like pretty much next to the cooking daily, so why not? Then there's Blown Away, which gives 10k. And then there are some quests that don't copy over to the beta, but I'll just kind of show you where they are. Here, where you have this Pet Battle Tamer, there's a multiplayer quest called What We've Been Training For. You can turn in there for 10k. And basically, if you've never done pet battling, there are many pet battle quests that you can actually turn in here as well. And then there is this special selfie camera quest as well. It's roughly here on the map where you can pick it up and turn it in as well. That's a one time per account quest that also gives 10k. If you've already got this toy and have done this quest, you won't be able to get that quest on your account, but you can pick it up here if you haven't done it. In addition to that, there are basically 5 pet battle quests that you can do on your account, and they basically appear in your quest log, and you can turn them in your quest log. I'll have a screenshot on that, but it's just they don't copy over to the beta, so I can't really show you what that looks like. But those quests you don't want to turn in at level 60, because at level 60 they give less XP than at level 69. So those quests you just keep in your quest log, and at level 69 you turn them in for the biggest chunk of XP. I think it's like 13 or 15k of XP per quest. So times 5, that's a lot of XP that you would get like in an instant basically. So it's very nice to use at level 69. In addition to those 5 quests, there are also a lot of like one-time pet battle quests. But again, because I've done pet battles, I unfortunately I cannot turn those quests in. They're like the Battle Tamer for Azeroth, Battle Tamer for Eastern Kingdom, stuff like that. Those ones also appear in your quest log, and you can turn in at 69. So that's quite nice. And the only other thing that I want to say, because it's basically Saturday and the Darkmoon Faire buff is disappearing, if you log out with this debuff now, like obviously if you still want to play your character, it's not massive, but a lot of people will be logging out with this buff that gives them 10% XP for the first hour, and also rep for the first hour, which is pretty nice. And that will just stay. So you basically just go to the Darkmoon Faire, Hearthstone back to Stormwind, and log out with your buff. The only other thing that I'll mention before starting this quickly is just Warmode. Like, in my opinion, you always want to play with Warmode on if you want to level as quick as possible, especially if you're Horde. Like, if you're Horde, it's highly unlikely Alliance is gonna kill you. Like, if you see any Alliance, you kill them, but it's not gonna happen the other way around. And Innkeepers are actually very close by, so you can easily turn it back off if necessary. Like, even in the first zone, like after 3 minutes, you're at an Innkeeper where you could turn it off if you wanted to. And some classes really gain massive advantages. Like the Hunter talents are really, really good, like that Basilisk, etc. Like Monk, Moonkin, Mage talents, like they're massive for leveling and leveling speed. So I definitely advise you to turn it on. So I'll just do a run here, and then I'll show you where to turn in these quests and how quick this basically goes. So some of those dialogue options, you'll see that they're still not automated. So I'm hoping that Latrix Plus basically automates this before launch. Like at the moment, like half of the gossip dialogues kind of are automated. The rest aren't. So the first pet one is actually here. But I don't have that quest, but that's where you would turn it in. Then you would go down here, where you would turn in the camera, selfie camera, and then you go back up here, and that is the main quest area again. So you talk to this guy, you see like they dismount you, so it should be fine to click the NPCs. But otherwise, like you have these macros if you need to target any of them. Then here is the first pre-turn in that you do. It's like these balloon quests. Pretty nice, gives 10k XP. Then you go to the next main quest. And so here's a bit odd. They used to have like this dismount zone, but now they don't anymore, which is why like I think you kind of want these macros to target these NPCs. And here is the first fishing daily. Then another pre-turn-in. Like you don't need to do that follow-up that it gives you. Well, I mean, you could if you have time. You'll see the boat timer in a second. And again, like here, there's a dismount area. That dismount area is actually quite small, so I went too close, but you can actually stay mounted while talking to that NPC, which is kind of nice. And then here is the final main quest. Talk to this guy. Again, like you see, you can stay. If you don't go too close, you won't get dismounted. And now we're almost done with like the quests before. So just talk to Khadgar, start this next part. And here you see this timer and the boat, like this is kind of lucky, right? The boat arrives, but I think that's how it will basically be if this boat timer resets on launch. So the other nice thing that you can do, and that most people that are speed leveling will do, and I'll talk about that in the next video where I talk about like speed items you can use, stuff like that, all the consumables you want. I'll talk about that in the next video, but I'll just show you quickly of how to, for example, use Falling Flame, which is really nice because that basically allows you, everyone's going to be stuck on this boat or zeppelin, and you start questing basically before anyone arrives. So I'll just show you in a second how you can do that once the boat starts moving. If you're interested in like the timer of the boat, like the timer, it basically starts at 5 minutes once this boat leaves. And then once this boat arrives, it's 1 minute until it starts moving. So really you have more than enough time to do those turn-ins, and I basically get 2 free bars of XP, right? Like obviously that's not much, but if you're going for server first or things like that, you might want to use this. I'll also be posting a video on like a leveling route, both for efficiency and like if you're just trying to level as fast as possible, you want to do side quests. But I think it's like unless you're going for server first or like world first, makes much more sense to just do the campaign and a couple of really efficient side quests. All right, so loading screen, and then once we get out of the loading screen, we're going to glider and then Falling Flame. Now the nice thing, if you glider and Falling Flame, you can see I can angle where I want to go. So all I need to do is cancel my glider at the right time to basically land in the quest area. And so I missed it here. You can just go here. And this is the quest area. And so you see, like I'll wait here, but you see how long this boat is gonna take until everyone else arrives, which basically means you'll have done all of these quests by the time people arrive. So obviously, like I didn't talk to Khadgar here, so I don't have the quest here, and that's just because if I want to redo this video, I don't have to create a whole new character and stuff. But you see, you have basically like a minute and a half ahead of people if you have this Falling Flame, which is super nice. And in my next video, I'll talk about where you can get this item and how to easily farm it. Alright, thank you all for watching. I hope this was useful and have fun in Dragonflight.